environmental justice muster actually started with a phone call from a teacher at Fairfield Elementary School, the closest school. The whole idea for it began about 3 years ago when a phone call came into me at the office. The teacher said, "We're bringing the kids in from recess because they are saying it's hard to breathe. It's like a wall of chemical is hitting us." When we come into West Eugene, according to the Eugene Toxics Right to Know reporting system, the folks in West Eugene between the years of 2005 and 2008 were exposed to 3,313 plus pounds of air toxics. Over 96% of all the air toxics in Eugene are produced in the 97402 zip code. Over 96%.
An environmental justice community is a community that's being disproportionately exposed to air toxics. In most cases, there's a sense of vulnerability in the community, there's a sense of disempowerment, and communities who are located near, for instance, toxic sources like industries, train idling, groundwater pollution, for instance, are usually disproportionately exposed, so they have a concentrated rate of individuals who are facing health risks. Also, in our case, we found there's a high percentage of asthma, for instance, in the neighborhoods, and in most cases, percentage of minority population. So there's a high, in where we're at right now in the Train Song neighborhood, there's also a high percentage of Latino families.
I've been closely working with Josefina. She's been helping me in a lot of the initiatives that we've been doing here for our environmental justice project. And we're gathering here today because they'd like to share a few stories living here in this area.
Pues yo tengo aquí 10 años y desde que llegamos están los olores que son terribles. Nosotros no podemos ni abrir ni la ventana porque por lo mismo de que está mejor estar adentro que estar afuera.
So she's been here for 10 years. They can't even open the windows for the same reason. It's better to be inside than outside. Her son has asthma since he was born, and she figures that it has something to do with some of the smells.
Es que nos están afectando tanto que a veces queremos salir a caminar en familia y no podemos porque da un olor muy feo, muy feo.
So it's affecting us so much that sometimes we'd like to go for a walk with our families, but we can't because the air is, the stink is just so bad.
Yo espero que puedan hacer algo por nosotros porque la verdad tenemos muchos niños con asma. Afortunadamente los míos ahorita no tienen, pero sí tienen muchas alergias, en la noche no pueden respirar.
So we hope that you can do something for us because we have children with asthma. Fortunately, not my children, but they do have allergies, and sometimes at night they cannot breathe.
I want to share with you my experience living here. I moved here 2 years ago, and the first day my daughter, she's 13 years old, and she feels nauseous, dizzy. And I was thinking, what's going on? But now I have twins, and one of her, she washes all her body, and she can wear clothes until those gone. And usually she has those in the school, and I have to go take her to the house. And I took her to the doctor, and she says she's allergic to something, but we don't know to what. So I'm worried about her.
And my view has always been, I don't care if the business was here first, but if other people here first, everybody in Eugene has a right to live in a place where they can breathe the air, and they don't have to close their windows. That's just a basic quality of life thing. So I suppose where you're leading with this is, do we need to change the standards by which we make those decisions? But in any case, even if it doesn't breach health standards, which I think it sounds like it does, even if it didn't, it still breaches people's livability standards. And so there is no place where you're so low income in our area, or you live someplace where you don't get to have air that you can breathe. That's just not a reasonable way for anybody in our community to live. I know we'll be wanting to do whatever we can about this.
J.H. Baxter's receives the most complaints to El Rapa of any industry. And what you're smelling is maybe the 37,000 pounds of ammonia that's not controlled in any way from the facility.
I've been in this neighborhood since '96. I've been here a while. One of the big issues we haven't dealt with, is that we have a plume of pollution from the railroad yard over there underneath our neighborhood. And there was some studies done. Our property values went down. There was a certain amount of off-gassing going on in a few of the houses closer to the park, closer to the railroad, that side. And there wasn't a whole lot done. They kind of switched consulting companies. And when it started to look like that the railroad was going to be in trouble, I don't know how it happened. They switched consulting companies, and then it was like, oh, the background air is kind of the same as the off-gassing, so we can't really tell. Yeah, right. So they sealed up a few crawl spaces and went on their way.
And let me bring you back to again, why are we on this tour? We're about disproportionate impacts. Beyond Toxic and Centro Latino Americano did canvassing in the neighborhoods we just passed and in the neighborhoods we're coming to. We canvassed 350 homes, went door to door. Invariably, people comment that they believe, it's their personal opinion, through their experience of being a resident in this neighborhood, that the smell from Baxter's significantly deteriorates their lifestyle. They cannot hold a birthday party for their child outside. They cannot ride their bike. We're talking about healthy, active living. They don't want to get on their bike. The air smells bad. They can't go for a walk. They have to keep the windows shut. Coming up on the left emits some of the most carcinogenic chemicals, including hexachlorobenzene. They also emit dioxin and penta to the groundwater and the wastewater system. So one point of taking you out Highway 99 is you just see that what we call the heavy industrial section is part of our community and part of our airshed. It's not a separate thing.
El Rapa does that for Lane County. But for all the else,
we chose this neighborhood. We're a young family with 2 young kids because the school district's great. My husband can bike to work, so we can just have 1 car. It's a nice, quiet neighborhood for our family. And the only thing is it's a little stinky sometimes, with the factory right down there. And my husband's bike path to work goes right past that factory. And we've noticed that even in the summer when it's really dry and on a very clear, nice day, a lot of times you get sort of rained on when you go past that factory on Danabo. And if you drive on Roosevelt between Bertelsen and Seneca, we noticed a really strong smell of mothballs. And we didn't know where it was coming from. And we went home and we looked online and we found out that the mothball smell was naphthalene and that it was a toxic chemical. And shortly after that was when Lisa and Allison came to our neighborhood association meeting, and they gave a little talk about this project, and that they were trying to assess the air quality, and there were concerns about possible health risks due to the air quality in West Eugene.
major decision we try to make as a city now, we look at how it affects us environmentally, how it affects us economically, and how it affects us in terms of social equity. So I think the things that we're talking about today, we have many things we could do better, and many things that need to be resolved and worked on. But it isn't that your city doesn't want to do that and isn't linked up with you arm in arm to try to move down that road. I just urge you to move to a place of what is it that you want to get done, set the guideline, set the mark out there and get going. I mean, I think that's what we have done and need to do.